All right, then first up, I would love, and I'm delighted to introduce one of my brothers, Mr. John Grome. John is one of 6 siblings. The first 4 are boys, followed by 2 girls. There is a 21-year difference between the first and the last. That is quite the gap.
I thought my mother.
I don't even know what to say to that. John grew up and has lived in the Chicagoland area for all his life. He attended Bloom Junior College for his first 2 years, ending with an education degree from NIU in DeKalb. I'll forgive you for that. His whole career, he spent in education, and that career was spent here in Barrington. He has 2 beloved sons, JD and Robert. He has an affinity, just a passion for sports, and he and sports have commingled throughout his entire life, however, not so much now. I'm going to change that for you, John, I think. He retired from school district in 2002 and can't believe it is that long ago. In 1984 and 1987, he was granted, first one in the northwest suburbs, a parental leave of absence to help raise his sons. How amazing is that? So, ladies and gentlemen, would you please do me the honor, warm welcome to the microphone, Mr. John Grome.
All right, tell me when I'm on the clock. All right, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. We'll come back to that at another time. Right now, I want you to go back to September of 1999. At that time, my oldest boy, JD, was a senior at Barrington High School. He came home one day and he said, "Dad, can we go to Grand Canyon for spring break?" And I said, "I don't see why we couldn't, although we have to talk to Rob because it'd be harder on Rob. You know these 2 kids, JD's like this and Rob's like that." Rob hadn't got his last growth spurt, so I said, carrying all that weight's going to be tough. So I talked to Rob and he said, "You're not going without me. You're definitely going to go with me." So I said, "Okay." I went to see Dr. Griffith over at the high school. He helped me set up the permit. He helped me figure out the route I was going to take, which campsites I was going to stay at. So we waited until March. March came. We took a plane to Phoenix, drove up to the canyon, and then went to the Chino Lodge that's right on the south rim. Next day we get up, it's a Sunday, so we say, well, you know, we're going to have to come out of this canyon eventually, but let's see how difficult it is. So we thought we'd go about an hour and a half down, and see if it takes us an hour and a half to get back up. Well, not to our surprise, it took more than that. So we knew that we had to go up after we came down. So the next day is Monday. We made a big mistake trying to eat breakfast on the rim. It took forever. Time that we didn't allot for. We were going to go down at 9 o'clock. We ended up going down at 12:30. Not only did we have trouble with the breakfast, but we had trouble with one of the bladders that held water. You know, that had a leak, so we had to go to the general store to get a new bladder. And they were 70-ounce bladders, so another 10 pounds that you had to put in your backpack. And you got to drink your water when you're out there. So we get up the next day. We are up that day, so we go out to Hermit Rest Trailhead and start our way down. We no longer got down by about 2 minutes, and I look around and think, we're the only 3 people here. And I said, they're trusting me to lead us to the campsite. So we were doing pretty well for a couple, 3 hours, and then all of a sudden we came to an area that had a lot of clutter on top of it, washed away the path. I said, now what do we do? I figured, well, if we're going down, we better just stay going down. And then JD said, Dad, see those stacked rocks over there? They're called cairns. So they're purposely stacked so that you follow them. If you follow them, you found the trail. And sure enough, we took enough cairns and it found the trails continued. Now it's getting dark. And the concern was we had to get to the campsite. If you get to the campsite, there's food lockers there, and you put your food in the lockers. If you're not at a campsite, the food's in the tent. If the animals want the food, they go into the tent. So we desperately wanted the campsite. But it's getting darker and darker, we're getting more tired, and Robert's saying, Dad, when are we going to get there, when are we going to get there? I said, well, one step in front of the other, we'll get there when we can. So we find a place that puts the tents, we do it, we go to sleep, get up the next day, we're 400 yards away from the campsite. It was so dark and so quiet, we couldn't even hear anything. So we hung around that campsite that day. Next day we got up, we went to one called Monument Creek. And Monument Creek was not a descent or an ascent, but it was just kind of more level ground. So we did about 8 or 9 miles that way. But in the meantime, Robert said, "Dad, my feet are killing me. My feet are killing me." And I'm thinking, you know, the boots are a little tight. I said, "Can you continue or do you want to wait?" "No, we can continue, but we'll check it out at the next site." So that was Monument Creek. There was no aid station there. So we looked at his feet and they were kind of blistering up. I said, "Well, we can't go back because the trip forward is a lot shorter than one going back." So he said, "Okay, now we're coming to get up the next day. We're on our way to Indian Garden." Indian Garden is about halfway from the top to the bottom of the Grand Canyon rim. So we're going, and "Dad, when are we going to get there? When are we going to get there? My feet are killing me, my feet are killing me." I said, "We'll get there when we get there." We finally arrived, we put our tent at our campsite, and I looked for the ranger, found the ranger. I said, "His feet are really bad, they blistered up." He said, "Well, we got some aid for that." I said, "You know, we have to go down 4.5 miles to get to the bottom, come up the same 4.5 miles, and then out another 4.5 miles. I said, "I don't think his feet will hold up." He said, "I don't think so either." I said, "Can we stay here tonight?" "If you don't have a permit, they don't let you stay there." He said, "Well, you got a permit, we do have extra space, so we'll let you do that." So the next day we get up and go up the last 4.5 miles. And it was quite a chore. You know, we go up probably 25 minutes and rest 5. Go up 25 minutes, rest 5. 25 minutes, rest 5. But we finally got out, and then we did our little victory dance. And felt really good about ourselves. Not prideful, so, but just felt good. All right, now getting back to the journey of 1,000 miles at the first step. As we know, you take step, 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 and you get to either go up the canyon or down the canyon, but you do that. That's on one level. The other level is one that my son, who was 14 when we went into the canyon, 29 years old, 2 years ago, tells me, "Dad, you know, sometimes when I'm at work, I get a project and it's just overwhelming me." I said, "I can't do it, I can't do it." He said, "Then I think of the Grand Canyon." And I said, "If I can do the Grand Canyon, I can do anything." I said, "Son, that's a nice life lesson for him to learn." Yeah.